All right, we're going new lowboy shopping. Got a 55-ton Talbert down the road. May have some issues, I'm not sure, but luckily they're letting me take it for the weekend. We can play around with it, see what it looks like. More than just your 5-minute check her out, so let's go pick her up. So this trailer that we're going to go pick up for our extended test drive, I've known this trailer for years. I actually pulled it the summer I graduated high school. I worked for this company driving lowboy, and that's kind of how I got my real start in any amount of trucking. Billy, Lima Bill, who some of you may know from Brownsville, he got to pull this trailer the majority of its life. It's a 1995 Talbert. It is a modular, so it has a beam insert and a drop deck insert. Comes with a 4th axle and a flip box on the neck. So here's our girl. Just got to get this truck moved out of the way. It's almost our same hoses. I think those are the 1/2-inch version of our couplers. So I got bushings and our set of couplers, but this is a 55-ton drop side. And as you can see, it's modular, so you can take the deck can be exchanged for a beam, which the deal is for the beam and the 4th axle here. This thing's been having a weird issue with leaning, so I want to try to figure out exactly if that's a real bad deal or not before we commit to it. And Andy's nice enough to let me take it. Come on, poor girl. She's not happy. I see they have the ether button here. There it is. It's got a new injection pump on it. Just not happy, Bob. That's all she needed. Running like a top now. The old ether on a 50-degree day. So these are our ends I just need to throw on this trailer so I can hook the wet line up. You and the guy she says not to worry about. Gonna have to guess this is the pressure line, but I don't really know that. That's why we stopped at the hardware store to grab these 3/4 by 1/2-inch bushings. No, black iron isn't the best, but it'll work. And that'll adapt that there. So I think our pressure side needs the male fitting on the trailer, if this is the pressure side. Alrighty. Hopefully it's the right way. Yep. Need to pull the truck up a little bit. All right, back into her. Got it. Our deck lock. We'll run her on that medium setting. This is how you set your ride height on this trailer. You set that block to any position. Things are happening. It's good enough to get it home. We're not going far. Sweet, let's do it. New wagon for you, Super Dog. Got the wet line off. And our PTO. The lean I was concerned about, we can actually already see it. I do really wonder, is this an airbag issue? You can see on the passenger side of the trailer, it's quite a bit higher than the driver's side. But that's what the nicer weather tomorrow, we'll figure it out. I got to get back to the farm and then I'm off to work. I've been running one shim in it trying to fix this twist issue, but I feel like it's just kicking the whole tail end over to the side, you can see there. So definitely got a little work ahead of us as far as what do we have, do we keep it or do we take it back? Because at this point, we ain't got a nickel in it. So a little nicer weather here today. We're gonna get this thing aired up. I'm gonna throw some crib blocks underneath it. That way we can lower the modular apart, basically create a gap and add one shim in just like the other side is. One thing that caught my eye here is notice that gap between the deck section and the back tires, and then take a look at that. Quite a bit more gap there. So I don't know if that's basically just the effect of the shim steering the back end over and now there's a gap. We could probably see or feel that. If there's a gap there between that connection, you guys can see it. Yeah, feels like there might be a little one. So once we put this shim in, it'll probably push this whole side back. What concerns me is that them running it like that with one shim could have done some strange things, pulling a lot harder on that eye than this eye. So let's get that spaced out where it should be, then we'll check out our leveling issue here. This thing has dual leveling valves. So all we need to do is get the trailer aired up and put some crib blocks underneath the deck, and that'll let it sag apart. So this shim is a little bit thinner than this one was because apparently this one's twin is lost. I think we're gonna have to lower the neck to help this out a little bit. I'm gonna lower it down. Let's go see what that did for our gap. don't see any holes or anything like that. It'd be nice to chisel out some of that dirt that's piled up on that main rail.
Look here, you can see a lot more arch in this one beam than you can the other.
Better look at how the modular setup works. The fork's under that one and not that one right now too. Yeah, you can see.
In the middle.
You can see arch. I think there's still a fair bit of arch in this one too. The fork's literally blocking you from looking down it.
How much got did you just now?
Holy cow, you got the one.
He threw a C-clamp, hit me right in the head.
You probably deserved it. Some stuff packed in there. Some crusties. I don't know that it's really that bad though. On this rail, we can work that out. I think I'm gonna grab a track shovel and do a little cleaning out a couple of these sections, see how it looks. Amazed how good that paint held up. To see if we're level and make us level. This driver's side is just a little bit higher than the passenger side, so screwing with the two leveling valves, yet still needs a little more of it. So we need to raise this side 1/4 of an inch. So basically this will just slide a little bit. That'll raise this side and leave that side alone. Is that your backhoe? Yeah, look at that! Looking across there now, it all looks just Jim Dandy. Look at the first and second axle. I didn't drop the third. We should still be fine as a tandem here. Let's take her on a test drive. This trailer really doesn't have any camber to speak of. I don't remember it having any camber back 10 years ago. Catch you on the flip side. So today I'm thinking maybe let's set the third axle down, and that might give us a little bit of reference point of these bent or leaning set of duals. I don't know if the third axle's bent or not. I kind of doubt it. If I had to guess, this probably happened from running it as a tandem when it should have been run as a 3-axle. And the trailer is leaning that way slightly, but on the other side it's not as bad. So we had a 1-inch gap on the other side to make it level, and this side is just about level. And that shows the lean up and the lean up on that side. Well, after a little more consideration and looking into parts and things like that, unfortunately, we're taking her back. I think that it's just too much of a project. We're at $37,500 on this trailer. I don't know if they're gonna come off the price at all. If they care that it has bent axles, I kind of honestly doubt that they move it any, but even if they did, I think it's more about the work than it is the money. This is an all-out project, and you guys know I have enough of those. So I think for the time being, we're going to keep running our old 35-ton Talbert. It could use a few little things here and there, but honestly, it needs a lot less than this trailer. Getting a modular with all the pieces for $37,500 is definitely a good price, but when you start looking at how much this trailer needs, the dollars and cents really just aren't there, I don't think. And like I said, a lot of times necessary. So she's going back. That's going to be a wrap on this mission. Thank you guys for tagging along. Maybe we'll find us a nice 55-ton lowboy, or maybe we won't. Not the end of the world, but we'll definitely be keeping our eyes open. Well, since we didn't buy her, she's over here at poor Ritchie Brothers Last Chance Auction Sales. So the question is, do we slap a bid on it again? I think we do. Especially if we can get it less for the $37,500 number. I think it's definitely worth it. I'm not sure if I'm going to put 25 or 30 as my max bid, because you do have to account for the premiums here. You can't forget.
The premium is up high now. It's
right.
13% they up.
That's what I'm saying. So you got to
proud of it.
You got to consider that in the whole offer game. But what I'm thinking at this point is the bent axles probably don't matter as much as we're going to pull it. We're going to put a few new tires on to fix how bad they look. If we get it, let's just say hypothetically, I'd put it.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
Oh yeah, because that's from the bent axle package. If you stand back and look, you'll see it if you look down the edge here. But like that's leaned like this, so that inside there is rubbing hard, and so is the other side, and then they all kind of have that same taper to them.
It's rubbed into like a pentagon though.
Well, I think there was some chatter and everything else, but
yeah, that's some serious chatter.
Not happy, Bob.
Not happy.
But anyway, stay tuned. One more chance at owning the old Talbert. This may be our savior. For whatever reason, it got a new tag on it here from Talbert, and as you can see, they're calling it a 35-ton capacity trailer with the GVW 73-280. Obviously, it's not a 35-ton trailer, but hopefully that deters some bidders. Oh, we won the battle! And she's officially ours. We've already played this game once. Do her again. Hey, we get a bonus set of couplers this time. And we're off. real big hurry to get out of here on this Friday afternoon, so I'll get pulled outside the gate and then we'll chain this beam down. All in all, I'm so excited. First pulled this trailer when I was 18 years old, and now we own it. So cool to be the second owner of this thing, even if it is a 95, almost as old as me. Brought us a complete load of chains and binders. Get her hooked on there. We're gonna unload the beam section and potentially test the strength of a C-can all in one. Stay tuned. That mighty Volvo. I don't know if our blocks are gonna be long enough. look at the bird's nest. Sorry, little legs. It's only been a week or so since I had this thing running. I don't know about that. I think we have found its mostly forever home. Nice and out of the dirt. Kept most of the weight teetering over the back to put it on the back of the can. It's dented in a little bit there. Probably ought to come up with an 8-foot piece of timber. It'll work for now. I just knocked the pins out of the fourth axle. I'm gonna pull it off next, save a little weight. We also have the flip box I'm gonna pull off the front. I would be surprised, honestly, if we ever use this fourth axle, but it's here if we need it. Unfortunately, its tires are, what I can tell, I think I found the date code, and I think they're from 2008. So they're a little bit old, which they appear to be, and they don't match any of the ones on the main trailer. None of these are too terribly old, but some for sure need replaced. If you recall, we had the bent axle issue. Basically, at this point, I'm telling myself, I think we'll put some new tires on and run it. If it destroys tires, we'll address it then, but it's really not going to go that many miles, so I'm curious how long the tires last. If it's not that big of a deal, it's not that big of a deal. I guess to the top of the C-can we go. As long as we're balanced okay on that one fork, I think it'll come off. I'll give her the lift-a-rooney package. Come on! Stay. And now she's just a regular 50-ton lowboy. Drop side, nothing too crazy. Got the drop box deleted, 4th axle off, and the beam set aside. I think the next step, I want to pull out the mesh that's in between the center beams and just clean all that dirt out. I didn't check that for corrosion before. Hopefully nothing too crazy there, but let's have a look. Back we bought a 50-ton Talbert modular trailer. Modular meaning you could swap the deck out for a beam insert. I've never had this trailer in the beam insert configuration. It's been in the deck configuration for a very long time, so I'm sure some of the airline couplers, bolts, things like that are going to be stuck. But we need to get her swapped over to a beam trailer because we have a shovel to move for Frank. Let's get to it. All right, I unloaded everything. Now can we pull these grates out? You can see all that dirt and mud. That's what I'm trying to clean out. I don't like that laying down in there on the main rail. It could cause it to rust and rot. So we're getting ready to break this modular 50-ton Talbert apart. For those of you that don't know, modular basically just means the deck comes off of the back. You can see how we have this bolt here that holds the tension on the top, and that's only if you'd high center. Then there's this loop underneath the trailer, and that's basically holding all the weight of the force of the tires going this way as we set weight on the deck. So step one, let's unscrew this bolt, take it out. It's been a very long time since this trailer's been apart, so we're probably gonna need the hot wrench. Next, we just need to throw some crib locks under here. We'll dump the air and lower the trailer in order to take the pressure off of these shims here. All right, the bags are dumped. I'm gonna lower the front of the trailer. Coming down. So you can see now this nice gap we have. All the tension's off. All we gotta do is disconnect our air lines and our power cord inside there. Then we'll disconnect the neck like we always do and come in and scoop this thing up. Well, let's see if the Volvo's got enough to lift this thing. I think it'll work as long as the 6-foot forks are enough to get under this rail, which they should be. And you just lift it off. And you just take it like so. Look at that! Easy dirt removal. So one of the problems that needs tackled on the back of this trailer is the axles are not tightly mounted to the suspension. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So under this cap, there's a chunk of rubber from what I understand, and it has to squeeze on the axle here. But you can see how this is all shined up, and that's because the whole axle is walking back and forth. Now looking at the service records, it was only a couple years ago, probably not really much use of this trailer ago. They had these U-bolts off, replaced these steel caps and the rubber pads underneath them. So I want to get this torn apart and see what we actually have to work with. So I'm just going to take both of these ones off. That way we can pull that cap off without the axle falling loose, because this side should hold it. The loader's still hooked up, so hopefully we don't die. We all gotta go sometime. All right, we're kicking it old school. We got the old 3/4 air cat and the big hose. I'm not be able to keep up with the air. What a pain in the butt. For a big cut. So I did. Just want to get that freed up a little bit, so once we cut it off, and we're just hitting with a B&O probably from the top, or a punch, it's not super stuck. There she is. Apparently that's the worn out pad on this crappy design. So the more I looked at things and thought about things, I thought new axles seemed like a pretty good idea. I reached out and got a quote on them from Fleet Pride, is where these ended up coming from, and it came out with shipping and everything. We're right around $8,000 for 3 axles. You can see they're fully dressed. I spec'd them out with the same non-spring brakes, same size drums, all that. You tell them where you want it clocked, the length of the S-cams. The only thing we'll have to do is there's adapters that get welded on here. I already picked those up on eBay. Those are basically part of the New Way suspension. But I just thought, hey, now we don't have any of that wear that we had on the old axle right there where the pads mount. We don't have any slop in the S-cams and bushings and wear on the drums and shoes. We're all fresh, new, ready to roll. So that's what I decided on doing. Before ordering these, I did reach out to Talbert for a quote, and they, for the exact same thing, well, with the block already welded on there, which those were a couple $100, wasn't any big deal. They were at $17,000 with shipping, and I was like, jeez. So thankfully, there was a cheaper option. These are 30,000 pound rated axles, 3/4 inch thick wall. I think they rate them 25,000 pound on air ride, but they're the heavy spec tapered spindles. You could get parallel spindles. I ended up just going with tapered. Don't really know if better or worse. I'd love to try to put disc brakes on, but I don't think there's enough clearance on a lowboy, the way the chamber sticks out and the frame being so low. So maybe you can. I haven't seen a lowboy with disc brakes, and I've never really been around them, but I was curious about it. Ended up staying with drums. Have it rigged up to the Volvo here. Carry it back down to the beam. Rained a little bit last night. So I'm not sure if I'm going to bring the Ford down here yet or not. So if the Volvo can pick the beam with the neck on, which I feel like it probably can, I'm just going to set this here, set it on that block we brought with us at the hitch, and then pick the beam up and set it on it. There it is. We'll just do it this way. How's that gonna treat us? So I just pulled the blocks out from underneath the beam. You can see we need to drive in a little bit more at the front. I think I'm gonna set some weight down. You can see how that pin has to drop into there. We're close. There it is. So I picked the front up again with the loader and put some bigger crib blocks under to make this gap bigger. We have these bolts go in. And remember, I had to burn the old ones out, so I grabbed some new bolts. So you have these different thickness shims that go in here, so depending on how much weight you have, basically that's making up for some of the flex in all these pieces of the frame. So the heavier you are, the thicker of a shim you need. We probably need the pair to this guy, which I think got lost before we bought this trailer. I'm gonna jump back in the loader to lift the front up, and we'll pull these crib blocks out from underneath the back. So now obviously now the shim's tight, we can tighten the bolt up that much more. Now the brakes release, let's go try to actually operate them. Beautiful. Okay, now let's take it outside and try to put the fourth axle on. But it's also getting dark and late, but I think we can at least get it started on, and I don't know. We're gonna have to machine two pins no matter what here. Nothing sketchy to see here. So my idea is with this hanging from the forklift, we'll just hang it down in here and put these two top pins in, and then we can let it sag down, and we got to make the bottom two pins. We'll put the bottom two pins in eventually. Come on. It is not happy, Bob. A little while back, Tractor Supply had this in their clearance rack for $7, and you know, only slightly Hoarderville. I brought it home and knew where it was, surprisingly, so it might bail us out. Can we get this one to plug in? Oh yeah. Look at that. So we'll swap this plug out. I think it's so corroded that we literally can't even get the plug to go in it. At some point here, I'm going to need to make up one of those nice little test boxes I've seen people have, where you take a plug, basically simulate the truck with a battery, and you can turn the flashers on, the brake lights, marker lights, all that stuff, which would be really convenient. I just have to keep hooking the truck up. I just unhooked it and shut the door last night so that in case it rained and everything, we'd have the door open. So now I'm going to end up hooking the truck back up. That way we can test some of this stuff once we at least get it all plugged in. Need to get this guy pushed out of there. This is what feeds that little marker light on the side. And it's all just cobbled together here pretty badly. Well, I'm certainly not proud of it, but our right now solution, right, Shaver? I'm just gonna crimp a new pigtail onto this pigtail, and it will work for the time being. Check them out. Is that what it says, Lane? Yeah. They're hanging there, aren't they? Does it work now? Look at that! The marker light works. No, we here. I'll hook it back up for you. There you go.
you fix it?
You approve? Look quick, DOT man. They're all working right now. It was working when I left home, I swear. Well, that's it for now. We got to order some parts, mainly the air relay valve. I got to come up with a mud flap. I think I have a used one out there. And a few other little odds and ends, the quick coupler coming onto the 4th axle. But I'm going to pull this trailer outside, unhook, get the Ford back in. I got a few little things I want to do to it. So that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next one. I'm Sam with Scrappy Industries. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, let's do it.